Hello, everybody. Yeah, so this is Captain Basu. We are again back with the tutorial of ship operations and management. This is the fourth lecture. And in this, we will talk about registration, classification, port state control, and ISM code. This is the topic of the discussion. Now, as a shipping personnel, in the means if you are in a owner's office, if you are in a charter's office, if you are in an agency office, you are a broker. So especially show if you are you're in the owner's office. So this you should be much aware of this registration, classification, posted control, or rather anybody who is dealing in shipping and who wants to have a career in shipping, he should be aware of these things. Now, mostly we will be covering registration, classification, flag of convenience, posted control, ISM, and then we will touch a little bit on the pollution part also. Okay. So ship registration is the process by which a ship is documented and given the nationality of the country to which the ship has been documented. The nationality allows the ship to travel internationally as it is proof of ownership of the vessel. Like any vehicle, even the vehicles we have got, So we have got a registry. Either you register it with a local RTO, that means it is registered somewhere. Like for vehicle, it is basically the state you are you have purchased the vehicle from. So here also a ship needs to have some sort of address. That means the owners or the ship is owned by that country, and it also will be the law of that country also will apply to that vessel, and then the ship is allowed to travel internationally because it has got a proof of ownership. International law requires that every ship be registered in a country, and that we call the flag state. The ship is subject to law of the flag state. That means if this is a Indian flag vessel, so naturally the Indian country's rules and regulations will also apply to that vessel. It is usual to say that a ship sail under the flag of the country of registration. So wherever you are registered, like if you are stayed in India, so it will have Indian flag. If in Panama, Panama flag, Singapore, Singapore flag. The ship's flag state exercises regulatory control over the vessel and is required to inspect it regularly. Now, it is not only just you register the vessel, the responsibility of the flag state also is to ensure that the vessel is you're inspected regularly, certifying that the ship equipment and crew and issue safety and pollution prevention documents. The organization which actually registers the ship is known as the registry. Registries may be government or private agencies. In some cases, such as United States Alternative Compliance Program, the registry can assign a third party to administer the inspection. So, many times the flag state, they do not do it themselves. They will authorize somebody, a third party, to do the inspection on their behalf. Sometimes they can also authorize the classification. We will talk of classification later to do the inspection on their behalf. A register that is open only to ship of its own nation is called the traditional or the national registry. That means a registry where the owner of that country can register the vessel. It is known as the national registry, like in India. Only Indian your ship owners can register the vessel in India. Registers that are open to foreign ships known as open registry and sometimes called the flag of convenience. So what happens is there are registries which we call it open registry. That means anybody from any country can come and register the vessel in that country. It is known as open registry or flag of convenience because for some convenience I am going to that place. That is Panama. Now, it's one of the main your countries where you have open registry, and we also call it flag of convenience. So registration. The two terms in the title of this chapter are often confusing, not least because some classification societies, most notably Royal Register, use the word register in the organization name. However, registration is actually the term used when a ship is accepted by a country to operate under that country's flag. Simple. Much of the international understanding about registration of ship evolves gradually over the centuries, but sometime it was decided to normalize the position. So this was done through a medium of the United Nations, which in 1982 produced the Convention of the Law of the Sea, that is UNCLOS. Among many other countries, UNCLOS requires every ship to sail under one flag, Article 92 of that UNCLO, and also confers a right of every country, whether littoral or landlocked, to have ships flying its flag. So that is Article 91. So that means if a country doesn't have connected sea or river, they also can have a ship flying their own flag. If a country exercises this right, it must also assume the obligation to ensure that the ship is subject to its effective jurisdiction control. So, in article, this means that the country may offer a conducive environment for ship operation, for instance, in the following area. So, if you are registered in a country, so there are things which the country provides you for the ship to be registered. That is one, the physical regime, such as the tax, exemption, foreign exchange control, fees, that is one. Legal regime, such as limitation of liability, mortgage law, litigation law, ownership requirement, bilateral or multilateral agreement that gives special right to its ships, such as cargo, sharing, taxation, right of entry, manning requirement, it's quite important, such as nationality, recognition of certificate, manning scale. That means a ship need to be manned, to be crewed. So they also form the law that what all nationalities can come in their vessels, what are the certificates required, what are the trainings required, and the wage scale. To register a ship, an owner must provide ownership of the vessel, and if the ship is in an existing ship rather than a new build, produce written permission from the existing flag state to allow the transfer to another country's registry. See, if you are getting a new ship, you are from the yard, of course, you will be subsequently the vessel after being built has to be registered in a particular country. But what happens when you are, suppose I'm buying as a second-hand vessel, it is on particular flag. I want to change the flag. So you have to take the permission from the existing flag country to allow the transfer to the another registry. If the new owner wishes to retain the existing flag, then it will only be necessary to record the change of ownership. If I retain the flag of the present flag of the vessel, only thing in the record of that country or that book of registry, a record is to be made from Mr. X, the owner is Mr. Y now. But if I need to go to another country's flag, then possibly I have go to that your country. I have to get a deletion. I have to get my name removed from there and freshly add to the new flag which I'm going to. Any state, including a landlocked country, may grant the right of ship to fly its flag. Across stern of every ship are written its name and port of registry. If you see a ship from outside, when you are walking suppose to the ship, when you see the stern or the rear of the ship's name and the port of registry of that ship is written there. Equally important is the registration certificate, often called the ship registry, which contains much information that is unique for the ship. So ship registry also is a certificate which is on board the ship, which will be the master. So it will have a lot of information about that ship. The flag flying from top of the main mast will be the flag of the country the ship is visiting. At that time, it is called the courtesy flag. So whenever you go to a country, by courtesy, you are supposed to fly the flag of that country. So, and that flag is known as the courtesy flag. In the past, the freight market was just as international as they are today. So the owners with the most economical ship were the most successful. So a major element of the running cost of a ship is the wage bill for officers and crew. So, there are few things, whenever we do a costing of a ship or we find out what is the your operating cost of the ship. Okay. So, in that, crew wages is one of the major component because that has to be paid every month to the crew. So, the major element in the running cost of a ship is the wages bill for officers and crew. However, those countries that has higher standard of living and paid wages to the seafarers compared to those who work ashore discovered that the cost incurred were far higher than for competitors' country, while freight income was same. So also what I was observed that the few countries like that developed countries like say USA, Europe countries, and say USA and those countries. So because the standard of living is high, the wages for the people on board that country on that ship is also high. So naturally, their cost of operating becomes more expensive because the daily cost of the vessel is higher than a crew or officer on a ship where they've come from other countries and they are not paid that high a wage. But what happens is the freight you are earning, both the ships which is expensive and which is not that expensive will be earning the same freight. So the ships which were having expensive crew on board, so they were tending to lose. So the union were able to influence not only the level of seamen wages but also the number of to be employed, and these were sometime in excess of those really necessary for safety. So the situation was compounded by the differences in domestic physical regime. Even when the freight income rates were high, income tax, corporate tax, even an excess profit tax pushed up the cost in some countries. Conversely, some governments were so keen to see a growing merchant fleet that they gave shipowners financial incentive, such as generous investment allowances and even outside subsidies. Inevitably, some owners found themselves uncompetitive if their ships were registered under their own flag. When market conditions worsened, they could not afford to run their ships cost effectively. This means that either going out of business or registering their ships elsewhere. So what happens is, if it was seen in the past that ships which were flagged under the national flag, so they had not only you are paying a higher wages to the crew, then you are also paying an income tax to your country, a corporate tax. And countries have other rules, where your excess money or the government would take money from you for doing a shipping business. So in this case, owners found that they were not competitive when they were competing in an international market. So, and naturally, a lot of them were losing money. Some of them said, I cannot do the business anymore. So the first move in such a direction was to set up a subsidiary company in a country where cost and taxation rates were lower. So what they thought is, well, in our country, the taxes are so high. So let me have an office in a country where the taxes are low, the registration fees is low. I don't have to pay the crew this high wages. So then they still operate under a closed registry, that is one that requires the owners of the ship to be incorporated in that country. So what happens is they started looking for flag which is outside their own country. So provided there is no abato, the share of the owner, companies being held outside the country, the owners could reap the benefit of lower cost. I could be settled in one country, but I register my vessel in a country where taxation, the registration cost, that is less. So we have got something called as open registry. For many owners, moving to another country with a closed registry was not enough because the level of manning and wages were still dedicated by the government and or the trade union, and it seems only a matter of time before the cost would rise to the level of the original country. So this was the position in the 1920s when the owners in the US found that the higher cost of running ships under the US flag, with crew wages level being particularly high, made it impossible for them to compete internationally. They therefore searched for country which, so they were looking for country. So what were the benefits they were getting? Which would permit a company owned and controlled by non-national to operate the ship under its flag, sometimes insists that the owning company is registered and owned and controlled by its own national only. So what they were looking at, we will go to a country outside US where if I'm not a US based owner, but I'm based outside, but I can still register my ship under that country's flag. B, would permit the beneficial owners to reside and operate elsewhere. That means that owner can be stationed somewhere outside and even operate the vessel. That means all the decisions for the vessel he can take from his own country, and to maintain all account balance and keeping all profit in a different country. Would permit the employment of crew of any nationality. That means you're flexible to employ crew from different countries. And at any wage scale, the owners wished. So because if they were you're employing a crew from the USA, so they have to pay higher wages because the union in the US would not allow you to pay wages which are less. But if you are registered outside, you are free to negotiate the wages of the crew whom you are getting in. So open registries were controversial from their inception. When the US ship, is the name, deregistered in the Panama registry in 1919 to avoid provision law and carry alcohol between Canada and USA. Open registry referred to flagship registry system in some countries that allows vessel owners to register the vessel under the flag of the country despite there being no genuine link between flag state and vessel. So this is actually the issue which people face in open registry. You cannot find a genuine link between the flag state and the vessel. The effect of this is that when the vessel is on high sea, the vessel flies the flag of that country, and the law of the country will generally apply to the vessel and its crew. It is often asserted that the countries that have open registry are generally characterized by the relatively lax tax law, employment law, and environmental protection law. So, what is when you go to a flag of convenience, many times it is seen that the laws which you are following, they are little lax. The employment laws are not that strict, and the main thing is the environment protection laws. They are not that rigid. If you are say Europe or USA, where the laws are very rigid, but in these countries it is not that rigid. For this reason, open registry have been derogatorily referred to as flag of convenience. So, I mean, when you say flag of convenience, that means it is not something good you are talking about. As vessel owners are liable to evade more stringent law in their own country by registering a vessel in an open registry country. Open registry and the genius link test. The key feature in the open registry system is that it allows ship to fly a flag of a nation despite the lack of genuine link between the flag state and the ship. So what happens is you are flying a flag of a particular your convenient country, but it is difficult to find a genuine link between the flag state, that means the flag you are flying, say, of a country, and the owner. The Article 5 of the 1985 United Convention of High Seas of the United Nations Convention of Law of the Sea both provide that every state has the right to fix the condition for the grant of its nationality of ship, for the registration of a ship and its territory, and for that right to fly its flag. They also provide that there must exist a genuine link between the flag state and the ship. So the UN Convention says, there should be a possibility, there should be a link, genuine link between the flag state and the ship or the ship owner. A closed registry country establishes this link between itself and the ship. In a closed registry, that means the nationality of that country can only register a ship in a closed registry. So it is so easy to find out who exactly is the owner of the ship. So a closed registry establishes the genuine link between itself and the ship through requirements such as the need for the ship owner and the crew to be a national of the flag state. Like say case in India, an Indian flag vessel, I have to be an Indian to be on the ship. On the other hand, open registry countries generally allow foreign ship owners to register their ship in the country with minimal or no requirement to show national, social, or economic connection to that country. So he has to just come and register his vessel in that flag of convenience. However, as there is no agreed understanding among states on what constitutes a genuine link, states have freely adopted open registry without observing the genuine link requirement. So still it is very difficult, or rather I would say difficult, to connect, to find a genuine link between the flag state and the ship or the ship owner. So here is a chart showing that latest country of ship registry. So you see the Panama has got the largest number of ships registered. Again, flag of convenience. Liberia is flag of convenience. Marshall is flag of convenience. But thereafter, if you see, they are like Japan, Greece, Singapore, Hong Kong. They are your national flags, like UK, India, USA. So this is roughly you can see, the people are going to these countries, your Panama, Liberia, your Marshall Island, because they are flag of convenience. So we also call flag of convenience FOC. Open registry countries often used to apply advantageous formula when calculating ship register tonnage. So they used to take that advantage because, as you mentioned earlier, we talked of your gross tonnage. So they were doing so that actually the tonnage was not reflected. So what happens is when the ships were going to various places, various ports where you are levied charges as per the gross tonnage, I think calculations were, manipulated. So this not only allowed owners to avoid some port charges, but more wrongly permitted them to sidestep international regulation. So what happens is whenever a new registration comes in, it gets effect basis your GT of the vessel. So to avoid that, what they will do, they will manipulate the GT so that the vessel do not fall into that category. Certain ports authority took a dim view of this, and it was not unusual to find flag of convenience being surcharged in port charges unless ships had obtained a more respectable international tonnage. So some ports earlier were doing, if you have got a FOC, flag of convenience, they will certain extra charges on you because they thought that you are manipulating your charges, your GT, and trying to avoid paying that legitimate fee. With the coming into force of the ITC in 1994, this situation almost disappeared. So now, after 1994, where there's universal your acceptance of the tonnage, so this is no more. Even so, there have been cases when owners have tried to pass off an old registered certificate as an ITC. Of course, there are people who will try to take advantage of things, but nowadays it is difficult. Of 1994, it has become very uniform now. In certain part of the world, the ITF has more or less declared war on FOC ships. So ITF is a international your union for the crew. We call it International Transport Workers Federation. They are very, very strict. So they target this FOC vessel because they know the vessel which is flying a flag of convenience, the living condition of the crew may not be good, the wage structure of the crew may not be good, the working conditions for the crew may not be good. So in that case, they board the vessel, they will talk to the crew, and if required, they will help back the vessel in the port and ensure that the facilities are given to them. A ship, a ship is considered an extension of the sovereignty of the national, which it is registered. So a ship which is flying a flag of a particular country, so it is seen as the extension of that country. So when you are boarding a vessel with a particular flag, so we can possibly presume that you are boarding that country. That is the extension of the country because the law and regulation of the country applies to this ship. The share to open registry ship operate under the flag convenience grew substantially after the World War II. They accounted for 5% of the world tonnage in 1950s, 25% in 1990, 55% in 94, and in 2021, they were about 72% of the world fleet. So the usage of the flag of convenience referred to be beneficial. National owners choosing to register one or more vessel in another nation in order to avoid high regulatory and manning cost. That is one of the major reason to avoid high regulatory and manning costs. This enables three types of advantage to the ship owners. So why advantage what they're looking at? Regulation. Under maritime law, the owner is bound to the rule and regulation of the country of registration. There's a law says, which also involves a requisition in a situation of emergency like war, humanitarian crisis, etc. Being subject to less stringent regulatory commonly conferred considerably saving in operating cost. So what happens is, like in India, we see, suppose that there is some sort of a emergency. So you are called for duties. The Indian flag vessel may be asked to come to whatever is the your the government says. For humanitarian work, we have seen in Iraq crisis and Kuwait crisis, Indian ships going there and getting people out from that place and all. So that is the call of your duty towards the nation. Now, registry cost. The state offering a flag of convenience is compensated according to the ship's tonnage. Registry costs on average between 30 to 50% lower than those of the North America and Western Europe. So, if you are registering your ship in a flag of convenience your country, so you could be paying say 30% less or 50% less than if you are registering your ship to in USA or Western Europe countries. Operating cost for open AC ship are about 12 to 27% lower than those of traditional fleet. The reason being is the wages. The wages The victualling cost. Victualling means the money you spend for fooding and all. For European, possibly they have got a different standard of fooding, but in a this one on flag of convenience, possibly there could be difference on per day your money which you allot for fooding and victualling. Tonnage tax. So what is tonnage tax? In an attempt to encourage more owners to operate under national flag, now what has happened is many owners are introducing a tonnage tax. This is not an additional charges made against ship owner, but a system whereby owners make a payment to the flag country based on the size of the fleet rather than income the ship generates. So it's a tonnage tax regime we call it. So earlier what was happen is you have got ships registered under the national flag and you pay your income as per your earning, like we pay income tax. But in tonnage tax, what happens is this is not additional charges against the ship owner, but a system whereby owners make a payment to the flag based on the size of the fleet. That means how much deadweight or gross weight tonnage you have registered with that country. Basis that you pay, irrespective of how much business your ships are doing. If you are doing very good business, this is a fixed tax you are paying, not as per your earning. The owners therefore known in advance of the cost and can grant budget for them accordingly. That means I know this is my tonnage cost. Don't have to pay anything on my earning to the government. So I can plan better. Usually the rate is set sufficiently low to encourage owners to forsake the attraction of open registry in favor of a more regulated environment. Some countries attach condition to this. For example, the DG in India requires the shipowner recruit one trainee every year for every 10 crew employed. Of course. So what they are promoting also, the Indian seafarers to go out to sea. So if you are having a tonnage, if you are in the tonnage regime of a national flag in India, so you are supposed to recruit one new trainee every year for every 10 crew you have employed. So if you have got say 100 crew you have employed, you have to give training to 10 people. The downside is that the tax is payable even if the fleet suffers an overall loss. Of course, if the ship is doing very well, you are not paying anything extra. There is a fixed cost. But suppose your fleet is not doing well, your vessels are laid up. So in that case, you are not earning. Still, you have to pay this your tonnage tax to the government. Most European Union and many other worldwide now operate a system of tonnage tax. Essentially, they are the same, but there are local variations in the regulation. Every country may have a slight variation, but this is the basic concept of a tonnage tax. Now there is something known as post-trade control, and we call PSC. This is quite a dreaded word, when it comes to the ship. The master and the officers are a bit worried when they say there's a post-trade control officer come on board. Now, is the inspection of the foreign ship in national port to verify that the condition of the ship and its equipment comply with the requirement of the international regulation and that the ship is manned and operated in compliance with this rule. So these are random inspection of foreign ships in national port. That means in India, suppose a foreign ship comes in, which is flying a different country. So the postal control can go and inspect and see is the ship following all the international laws and regulations on board for certification, for safety, for cruise certification. So many of IMO most important technical convention contains provision for the ship to be inspected when they first visit foreign port to ensure that they meet the IMO requirement. That's the basic criteria. IMO has given rules and you have to have certain rules regarding ships, your safety and everything. So they will go and inspect. These inspections are originally intended to be the back of the flag state implementation, but experience has shown that they can be extremely effective. The organization adopted resolution so and so on regulation, cooperation in control of the ship and discharges, prompting the conclusion of regional agreement. A ship going to a port in one country will normally visit other country in the region, and it can therefore be more efficient if inspection can be closely coordinated in order to focus on substandard ship and to avoid multiple inspection. So what happens is there is a coordination between different regime of this posted control. So what happens is that the idea is to target substandard ship. That means the ship which is not maintaining themselves. Posted control is an inspection regime for countries to inspect foreign registered ships in port other than those of the flag state and take action against ships that are not compliant. So what they do, inspect regime for countries of inspection, foreign registered ship in port other than those of flag state. So PSC will board a vessel of another flag, which is not of the country. So he will board the vessel and inspect. The inspector of the PSC is called PSC officers and are required to investigate compliance with the requirement of international conventions such as SOLAS, MARPOL, STCW, and MLC. So these are the four pillars of shipping, what we call it. SOLAS, MARPOL, STCW, and shipping. SOLAS is how the ship is constructed, MARPOL, pollution, STCW is training, and MLC is if the crew's benefits are taken care of. Inspection can involve checking the vessel is crewed and operated in compliance with applicable international law and verifying the competence of the ship's master and officer and the ship's condition and equipments. So here I have tried to give you a picture that there are various MOUs of PSU. So whichever area you are in, you are under your jurisdiction or MOU of the PSC. Now the blue one you see, it is the Paris MOU. India is the green one. Indian Ocean MOU, that is the green one. Mediterranean MOU you got. You have got Caribbean MOU. You got Black Sea MOU, the Riyadh MOU. So this is the picture. That means the entire world is covered under some or the other jurisdiction of the posted control. So here. And USA, it is USCG, although not a signatory to any of the MOUs, carries out independently, they do it for themselves. Posted control for compliance with the US Coast Guard regulation. So that is completely different. We have got on top, you see the different MOUs, but US has got its own set of rules and which comes under the US Coast Guard. So the result of inspection and detention are published. So what can happen is the PSC, when they inspect the vessel, so they have given the observation. So there could be something serious in which the PSC may detain your vessel and ensure that whatever is observed has been made good before you are giving a clearance to sail out. Annual statistics are issued by some individual countries and by some of the regional organizations, including the Paris MOU. Record of individual ships can be seen on ESCWA's database set up by the European Commission and now supported by the number of countries and international bodies. EQUSS lists the name under which the ship are inspected, but data can be accessed using the IMO number that stays with the ship throughout its life. This prevents unscrupulous owners from hiding the ship's past merely by changing its name. So we have got IMO numbers now. Like it is something like the Aadhaar number we have got. It is very unique to me. So if you also sell your vessel, your IMO number stays with you. So it is easy to identify your trace any vessel if there is something wrong which has been done, and it should be in the PSA database. So this part we complete here. So this lecture has not ended yet. We will continue after this. To make it short, we have broke this into two. So I will see you in the next lecture again. Thank you so much.